Este no, porque pues no lo tenemos. Okay, nomás este.
Okay, so then
Is
Call
it
the
on?
meeting.
Robert isn't even on anymore. Who is it instead of Robert? No, Robert Lopez, yes.
Yes,
Oh, they're
it's
already off,
Alfonso
okay.
Santos.
Let's see, the other two are already off, okay.
It's on? Yes. Okay, Miss.
Okay, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Unfortunately, we don't have a quorum today, so we actually cannot proceed with the meeting.
But we have a precedent for this because we listened to the other people that
Yes.
presented
Yeah,
on the art
so-
project before, so we can do this.
So we're not going to get to the business scheduled, but we are going to hear the presentation by the group that came today, and they are,
You can turn it on.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's gonna be.
okay, so,
Okay.
yeah. Who is, what is?
At the very bottom está
The
at the
Laredo-
next page,
the Laredo,
right? At the very bottom
Young-
está
I'm
el
sorry,
nombre.
Young
Okay.
Professionals Network of
Portillo,
Laredo.
Sinaloa.
Oh, these are the, sorry, these are the minutes from the last one. Oh, no, what is this?
It's the Young Professionals Network from Laredo.
Okay, so we're gonna listen, here they are. We're gonna listen to this presentation by this group, the Young Professionals Network of Laredo. And then we'll invite them back in the future to present to the whole, group, the whole commission. So, welcome.
Hello. Hi, yes. Hello, my name is Alisa Sierra.
You wanna stand?
Should we stand?
Sure, you all
Okay.
can stand up and present and do whatever you need to do.
Yes,
Okay.
acabo, it's very informal, ahorita
Yes.
no.
Okay, so.
Yes, it's very formal.
All right. So my name is Alisa Sierra. I recently moved back to the hometown, and for over the past 10 years, I pursued my studies in paint in the arts, and I apprenticed under the guidance of several painters in New York, Jerusalem, Israel, and New York and France. And having lived in multiple communities, both small and large cities, I was able to witness how organized public art programs can truly have the power to bring people and their communities together. And so in having discussions with Regina Portillo, who is involved in works for City Makery, a nonprofit organization that brings, well,
I'll talk about
yeah.
it. Yeah.
We would like to, alongside with the Arts Commission, create a master plan for Laredo, and hopefully assist with this. But
Yeah.
you speak on.
I'll talk about a little bit about me and then City Makery, the foundation that I work for.
What's it called?
City Makery, it's a
City
local
Makery.
nonprofit.
Okay.
So just my personal story. So I grew up here in Laredo, and I moved to Austin for college and then New York to obtain a master's in industrial psychology. And I lived there in New York for about 6 years, and I moved back about a year ago. And I realized that a lot of my friends don't want to move back to Laredo.
Right.
For many reasons, right? They can pursue better opportunities elsewhere. The quality of life elsewhere is a lot better. So I ended up quitting the corporate job that I had, and I joined Viviana Frank and Frank Rotnovsky to form a local nonprofit that helps with public engagement. And so they've been doing these projects for many years. They helped start the farmers market. We support Bike Laredo, which, you know, they have made a lot of strides from policies with city council to funding for trails and bike lanes, and they're really, you know, changing the culture in Laredo. I also help with Laredo Center for Urban Agriculture and Sustainability. We've done great things there. We helped form an urban agriculture division within the city, which has one dedicated full-time staff and several part-time staff members that help with that. We also created and helped pass the Urban Agriculture Ordinance of Laredo, and we secured city funding for this project. So we have kind of been learning how city government works, how city council works, and why ordinances are important and master plans are important. Right now we're helping to push forward a bike plan because we've realized that council members and different city departments are trying to advance the bike culture of Laredo, but they're doing it in small projects here and there, parks, bike lanes, etc. But there's no like one master plan to say, look, these are our priorities, this is the process that we're going to follow. So in meeting Alyssa Cigarroa and personally having a passion for art. My mom is an art teacher here, Alex's studio. I think she.
Yes, I do. I know her.
You know her from 201 Gallery.
Yes.
You know her as well.
Yeah.
And so my family, my grandfather, my mom, and my sister are all artists, and art is a big part of our family life. So I want to help move this project forward. Roxanne Peña is also an advocate for the arts, and she has her own passion in filmmaking, and so she's going to also help us with this project. And
Of course we know her.
so what we want to ask of you is that you allow us to collaborate with your commission. You are the entity of city government that is focused on the arts. So we want to help empower the community and integrate the community. We know a lot of artists. We know a lot of a lot that goes on in Laredo, but it often feels siloed, right? There's no one platform,
Right.
and I think this commission can be the mechanism that helps integrate them and really build a strong art community force that can be illustrated at city council meetings and say, the community is this big, your citizens want this.
Right.
And only then can we help pass a master plan for funding. Well, the funding for a public art program would follow a master plan. And in our view from City Makery, we've seen that if we help push a master plan first and then secure that 2% funding that we want, that would be the best plan of action. So
Procedure, yeah.
and so Alyssa and I have already done a lot of research with public art programs, especially in Corpus and El Paso. So we're curious, how do public art programs come about, what do they entail, and then how can we help push certain things forward. So that's why we're
Okay.
Okay. Well, you know that the Plan Viva Laredo,
Yes.
which is that plan that actually Viviana and Frank started a few years ago. I was very involved in the education and in the arts groups in that plan. And in the arts group in particular, they asked, weren't you in that?
I went to one of those meetings that they.
Yeah, I remember seeing you there. In the arts, because we had so many meetings, right, and they would ask you a million questions, and people would present, and they would say, give us your feedback, and there were people there from the theater, the painting, the poetry. I mean, there was arts. It was we had a lot of people. It was a good group. And they would say, if you had any money, if you could have any amount of money, what would you implement in Laredo? And some people said, a performing arts center, of course, the theater people, because now that we don't have the civic center anymore, it's been a struggle. And at that time we still had the civic center, but so everybody had this, what is it you want? And I said, I want an arts and culture commission that is under the city of Laredo that gets funded. And I was in shock when they called me and said, Gail, you've been named to the Arts and Culture Commission, and I was like, there's an arts and culture division. But you see what you're saying is so important, because out of that master plan, here we are. And I never even knew that my words, somebody would listen, right? But it pays to get involved and go to meetings and try and see what you can do to make the city the way you want it to be, the city that you want. And so that's why we're all here, obviously. But I think it's amazing that you all are putting this together. We did do research. What happened to us is that there was a group of artists who were trying to get murals done in Laredo. And so it turned out that there was nothing in the city ordinances about that. It was under the sign ordinance. So we started going to the sign ordinance meetings, and we would get on the schedule and we would have to sit through hours of sign ordinance to get to the last spokespeople. And we had like, I don't know, 12 artists there. And so what we were saying was, first we researched it. What do other cities do for murals? And it was part of an arts program that the city had adopted. And so we didn't have that here. So that kind of grew into, we needed to add to the sign ordinance something for murals, and we gave them all the wording we wanted, how we wanted it to be, and that we didn't want there to be, because in the sign ordinance you had to pay for square footage of the sign you're painting. We didn't want that. It's a mural, and then all this stuff. So it was like in between it being accepted, all of those things, they opened this Arts and Culture Commission and put the mural project under us. So that's how they got that away from the sign ordinance part of it, and now it's ours. It's our baby. So we gave money away for 2 murals. That we were in 2018, we allotted money for 2 murals, and one is, they're both finished, or I believe Gil is still working on his.
Gil is still,
Where are they at? Where are they
Gil's
at?
is on Bartlett.
There's
When
one
you-
on Bartlett.
When you go towards, down
Towards
Bartlett, past
Saunders.
Nixon and get to Saunders, he's working
Yeah.
there. And the other one is
outlet malls.
the outlet mall, and you can see it from the bridges when you're crossing. It's at the outlet mall, and it's supposed to be interactive because it says, I don't remember what.
Sueños,
Soñar.
Soñar.
Right, and then if you put your phone, you can like write there, and you can like take a photo of the mural and have what you want in the,
Text bubble.
yeah, that's it. So that was a really cool interactive thing. So we did help fund those murals. But it's funny because we also have on our agenda, we also have to figure out what is our mission and what are we here for, and how does that work with the city council, and there's a lot of things. But yes, that we're kind of exactly trying to do what you all are doing, is how do we focus on having an arts and culture program, or more of a cohesive and permanent thing that's actually part of the city plan that can go forward, and not just painting and art, but like musical events and
It goes across
exactly.
the field.
Arts and culture, everything, that to make Laredo a better place to live in, because isn't that what we all want? So, yeah.
So really, we're here to help. Like, if, let's say, integrating the art community
Mhm.
is something we can start with.
Absolutely.
We do have a few interested people in doing an art crawl, for example. I know we have some events like that already.
We had tried to start that, or we actually kind of did start it a few years ago. We had like I guess it was an art walk, we called it, because we went from, there was art at the La Posada, and then there was someplace else, another place, and then the Center for the Arts, and then Gallery 201, and we even had them lend us a bus, because it was in May, and it was for single nights. We had a bus, we had those city buses that would pick you up and take you around if you couldn't walk, or you could walk. So we kind of implemented that way a few years ago, and it was really great. We had a great turnout, because I think the more venues you get involved, the more people are
And
gonna
now we
buy.
have Cultura as well. They have the second floor.
Right, and so we often try to do, because we're just, Gallery 201 and the center are right there. And then I know that the Convention and Visitors Bureau was doing the Caminarte, right?
Yeah.
And that was like an art walk, but at first it was supposed to be the Heritage Museum, the Casa, what is it, Ortiz, La Posada, the Center for the Arts, and then they were trying to get a few of even the bars to have art or something going on. And at first it did, we had like 5 or 6 of us right around the area, and now it's just kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. But,
So what I was thinking with doing an event like that
yeah,
is really to find those people who are gonna be advocates like us,
Yeah.
who are gonna help put the work in, that are gonna go to city council meetings, that
Mhm.
really understand kind of the policy side of it. So how we've done that with other groups is we end up finding those people
Mhm.
that are gonna dedicate time. And sometimes, like for urban agriculture, for example, we have Julia Orduña, who she believes in this, and so she'll show up. She's not, an expert in urban agriculture or anything
Mhm.
like that, but it's people who are gonna help
Right.
and really advocate for this in the way that we need. So some of those events are kind of like to explore our community and find those
Right.
right people, and that they can
right.
represent
Well, they
different
have
sectors.
the Border Slam,
Yeah.
that is like tonight, actually,
Mhm.
every, the second and
Second and fourth Thursday.
fourth Thursday of every month at 2:01, and they were kind of wandering around without a home for a while, and I said, hey, Gallery 2:01 is your home. So how long have you been there? 3 years?
2012.
Since 2012, they've been doing their slams there. So, there are entities that are happening and going on,
Yeah.
and are still going. They don't ever not show up for the slam. It's always going to happen, and then they bring in people, and they're doing a great job. But yes, I think it's a wonderful idea that you all have. And what was I going to say before I interrupted myself?
But how would we bring them into?
I think that they have an entity already formed that is like, okay, I know what I was going to tell you all. The Laredo Main Street was also part of organizing downtown events, right? They do the Jamboozy. I think that falls under them, right?
Mhm.
Laredo Main Street does the Jamboozy.
Yeah.
And then they have a ball where they name the king and queen of, I don't know.
Yeah,
And I don't know what else they're doing, but that was sort of an entity that was trying to get downtown stuff going on, and it had a lot to do with arts and stuff like that. And then the Convention and Visitors Bureau was also kind of involved, because they started this
Yeah.
Caminarte thing, but it's,
Like
it's
we've
like-
seen a lot going on here
Yeah.
and there in different pockets. I mean,
and I think it's good that you wanna have something that everybody can say, okay, well, like maybe you all work with us, because the city started this, so
Yeah.
that's why we're here. But yes, definitely that we can all work together and get more people involved. I think that's really what we need, is more of
Yeah.
an outreach of like your group that finds those people and gets them involved, and we all start working together and saying, okay, let's have a meeting and let's plan this, and I don't know what. So I really do think that this is great, because I think we also feel like, where do we start? Where do we begin? You know what? We have, and we actually were trying to schedule and make a plan, like a yearly plan of what we would like to see happen in Laredo. Be it a dance festival or, I don't know, whatever. Anything arts and culture, we wanted to start making a plan for the year.
Yeah.
And so this is perfect timing, because we haven't done that yet, and we can all work together, I think.
Yeah,
to get it
I mean,
done.
I think that from my experience, if we focus, like we can make a plan, or you guys will be making a plan, we can help with
Right.
the plan for this year. But I think a goal that we can help advance is securing that master plan. And
Uh-huh.
so the way that works is that we would have to ask from city council that they help fund a master plan, because
Yeah.
a consultant would come
Right.
and do that. So
that's the first step.
yes, that's the first step, but I do want to get more of an advocacy group, like, have a representative from, Laredo Film Society, from Border Slam, like, bring all those different voices together, which
Yes.
there are a lot. So maybe we can form some kind of advocacy group
Right,
where we have all those different categories.
right. And I think when we were trying to see who would serve on this board, I know that, like, Joe was the theater guy, he's the poetry slam guy, you know, she's dance, I have an art gallery. It was actually kind of,
The
Bobby
pick and
Lopez is a
choose.
is a musician, Julio is an artist,
Dr.
Bonchon
Villarreal.
was an artist, Dr. Colin Powell is a musician, so we were
Yeah.
trying to, and he's at TAMU, so we were trying to bring in like exactly that, from all the different aspects of arts and culture that exist in Laredo of people, and obviously Hector's super involved in everything, so,
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is kind of beyond the commission.
Right.
Like an advocacy group
Yes.
that they're not appointed, they're, you know, not
Exactly.
officially
Yeah, like
part of the city. but-
volunteering and getting involved because
Yeah.
they want to.
Yeah.
People who really want to. And that's kind of what, I guess, the little groups have been trying to do, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, it's all exciting at first and then you know.
Then
And
the
it's
work,
hard-
then you gotta do the work.
It's hard work,
Yeah.
but you know, if we have this vision of the 2% funding and Laredo is only gonna keep growing, our population is
Right.
gonna double in size in like 30 years. It's like,
Mhm.
we're actually growing a lot faster than Corpus and then
Right.
other cities, so,
But we're
we
not
have-
growing culturally.
exactly.
We're
not.
growing
But if we don't have the 2%
in
in
population.
place and.
Yeah, the
and
city
the-
has to
yeah.
invest some money. in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's
And
hard.
I think there was a stipulation that Viviana showed me, that they also have it, that they're gonna.
It was part of the Viva Laredo, there's a section for art.
Mhm.
And that's where it mentioned the commission.
Yeah,
And there was something about 2% of every new building.
yes,
Would go to
Exactly.
that is
It just
part-
has to be,
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, so, I mean, if we get your blessing, I mean, we can kind of start to reach out to some people
Absolutely,
and.
I mean,
I have two
informally,
ideas for you, because I just, I saw the city of El Paso, their mission is, the El Paso Public Art Program works to enhance, promote, and define El Paso, just put Laredo, as a unique place, community, and destination in its placing of public artwork in community neighborhoods and public property. So that's what they started off with.
yeah.
is
To
that
be visible. That's their mission.
funded by the city or?
It's a government organization, it's funded by the city, and that way you, because part of the way of making something sustainable is you gotta have somebody who's getting paid to do it. Because volunteers can only take you so far.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
if
you need a
if your
sustainable.
master plan is to get the city to do something like
Yeah.
that. And then the really simple way of, just my simple way, but the really simple way of making sure that everybody gets to do something is to designate one month per group. Poetry month is February.
Yeah, that's
Fine,
kind of a good idea.
a
Yeah.
visual art is March, I mean, something like that, where then you send out the groups to fill the month with activities, and it doesn't all fall on one group,
That's a good.
and then everybody else goes and supports their
Yeah,
programs, and then moves it out. You have something each year, I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, but I'm just saying, a
Yeah.
monthly approach.
So it's ongoing.
It's ongoing, and
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
knows that in February, there's gonna be, a film
It's a
festival,
plan.
or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I think that, that's really cool, I mean, even if you don't have it every month.
And that way, people from across the state know that,
Yeah.
they're gonna see ballet folklorico all of April,
Yeah.
or dance in the border,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
stuff like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Flamenco, ballet
Great
folklorico,
ideas.
matachines, and on and on and on, so.
Yeah.
So we're on with you, I just, I just saw this, and, man, they really did a lot of work in El Paso.
Yeah,
There's a
actually,
lot of-
I have the El Paso
Yeah.
master plan.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it, I just printed select pages because it's like.
No, you don't, when you
But-
come next time, but yeah.
But
well,
yeah, so we heard about like in talking to some of the public art directors. We've just been calling people up, but Meredith McKinley was a recommended consultant to create master plans. I think she's doing San Diego's now. These are big cities, but
Right,
this would be a smaller project for her. And we also heard of one other company. I think. Yeah, Lee Van Garden.
And our river connection with Mexico is so much more, I mean, if you've ever been to any of the other borders, I mean, El
Yeah,
Paso is a
yeah.
challenge, because that river
It
is
is a-
really
yeah.
thin there.
Yeah.
It's very concrete, and it
But
really looks like
even-
a barrier instead of
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
not as inviting,
and the cultural center across is very active.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Oh,
very
yeah,
active.
they are. Yeah.
which is fabulous. And I mean, I go over there to see their events. I know a lot of people don't wanna go across, but
Thank you.
I do. And wow, they're very active over there, and I think that's great because that has not stopped,
But you know, they have a whole department that
Yes.
is dedicated, so
Yes.
that's kind of what's.
Actually, the theaters are full when they have
Yeah.
something.
But
I
they
don't
have
know
that
about you.
wonderful building, you see, and we really
Yeah.
don't.
So
We don't have-
actually, now that I'm thinking about it, so we are looking at pushing forward the Plaza Theater. So
Uh-huh.
we're organizing, especially the Laredo Film Society, to advocate for how they may be able to organize a plan of operating it.
Right.
So if that does move forward with, which I think we would know like in 2 to 3 months, then maybe creating a partnership to where that's kind of the headquarters of fine arts and culture or something.
Well, I don't know, do they have offices there?
They have, I think, one little section in the front, which we would
yeah.
need to decide, what,
Yeah.
if that's gonna be just concession stands
The
or.
thing is that the city owns all those little buildings around the
Around.
Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
And they were even discussing renting them out for $1 a month.
Yeah,
Like that
for
was something
artists.
like it. But they're kind of small, but they own them. And so, one of those could be an office per se. It's not very big, but at least to start with. Because I don't know that the Plaza Theater really has an office.
Yeah, because they're even looking at for hosting workshops and things
Yeah.
like that would be the building right next to it.
Oh, okay.
If they would be able to use it.
Have you been
So-
into the building at the plaza?
No, I haven't.
I have a long time ago.
Yeah.
Have you?
It's,
Lately?
Well-
it's huge, it's like 900 seats. And
Yeah.
they can't remodel the interior, I mean, they can't completely restructure it to be different rooms because then they wouldn't get the historical tax credits
Right.
and things
They,
like that.
that's
So it has to,
exactly
like,
what,
keep
that's why it
intact.
stopped, because they wanted to do whatever and they can't. So it has to stay the way it is, and it has the balcony, and so
Yeah.
it does seat quite a few people. The problem with that also was, I believe they wanted to make it a performing arts center, but there's no backstage.
There's
It's just a
no.
screen, and what's
And a
right behind
wall.
it is a building owned by somebody, a store.
Yeah.
So, in that they, I guess, didn't realize there was nothing they could do. The one that actually is a performing arts center is the Old Royal Theater, that is Zorba,
Oh,
and it is completely intact.
Really?
Yes, and somebody mentioned to me the other day that we should get him to sell it to the city because the city was offered that building when Li Ling owned it, Li Ling from Tokyo Garden, and they wouldn't buy it. But it has a complete backstage, it has a proscenium, it has 2 little boxes where people like special guests could sit.
Yeah.
It has a basement with dressing rooms. It has private dressing rooms for the star and all this stuff. And it has amazing acoustics because when Li Ling owned it, I was still on the Laredo Philharmonic Chorale. We went in, we had a performance there and we filled it up and it was amazing. It's like a performing arts, it was a small opera house, I guess. But it has a stage and everything. And all of that is still intact. They just put like fake ceilings and.
actually, what they
Start.
took was just the seating area.
Yeah, but I mean, they just put in a fake ceiling, they didn't destroy any of the beautiful part of the building, yeah.
That's
So,
nice.
yeah, that's another thing that I really think we should get the city to buy back. Keep it in mind.
Well, we can advocate for it.
Yes.
you
We
know.
can
Absolutely.
always ask.
And you know who's very interested in that is Talisa Lucano, the architect. She was the one who was talking to me about that. She was like, have you seen the road there? And I started telling her my whole story because yes, I'm like, I was super into it, but yeah, but there's a lot of like cool stuff, that could actually happen. If people like you guys who decide to move back to Laredo, which I think is wonderful, and it's daunting, I know, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
It's not daunting. I think once you leave and you come back and you see the potential that you
Yeah.
didn't see.
Yeah.
when
See,
you-
that's the thing, there is a lot of potential
Yes.
here
We
for
want to
all
be
of us
here.
to see.
Because it is one of the most unique places in the world.
I
And we
agree.
can have what other cities have, we just have
Absolutely.
to work for it.
Absolutely. If you just say, what would I want my city to look like? And everybody has something they want. And that's what we have to keep in
What your
mind.
biggest challenge is that Laredoans have so much when it comes to opinions about things.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to rolling up the sleeves, they're, you know, it's like you should and you should, but I tell you, whenever you start working it, it's like, who's gonna put the, you know, the work into it?
Yeah.
Everybody back, oh, it's so hot, it gets, so,
Yeah.
so,
No, it-
this group will help, you know,
No,
because they're all doers.
You're talking to the people who are like, yes, chomping at the bit to get this to get going, yes.
Like I get calls by poets, older poets. Can't you do something like at a rational hour? You know?
Oh, because they start at 9. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, they start we start at 10. And I say yes, except that the most wonderful rule that Border Slam has is that your poem has to be 3 minutes long. Because I've gone to old fogey poetry, and it's the Iliad and the Odyssey. They just start, you know, and then my kindergarten years, you know. And that's what I like about slam, because it's like,
Yeah.
and, you know, penalty if you're over 3 minutes, you know. But there is a lot of people that want to participate from the like structural part of like, well, who's going to show up and
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
venue and make sure that the microphones are on and all. And that's where Julia is, like, we call her la jefa,
Yeah.
because she, you know, she's really good at it, and she's organized.
Because
But-
that's, that's their.
but the
group,
master
that's
plan
their
part
baby.
is
Yeah.
where you get people to commit. And I
Yeah.
think that if you do it by, you know, I guess I say month because that's kind of like, but if people understand that this is gonna be predictable year
Right.
after year after year.
See,
if
once we get started, yeah, I think so. I think that's absolutely what we're missing.
Everybody from Texas knows about Gail's Place for
Oh,
slam.
my
Oh, yeah.
God.
Everybody likes to come and take pictures there because there's
The
just no
buildings,
place.
I don't know if y'all have been
Oh, it's
there.
beautiful,
you know,
yes.
Okay.
There's no slam venue in Texas like it.
I'm sure.
And then we said, hey, all that border stuff, 6 blocks away. You wanna go look?
Yeah.
You know, you really wanna see what
That's
the
the
reality?
attractive thing, yeah.
This is the reality. There's the border patrol there, there's the bridge and all that.
Yeah.
And you can go take a look at it and there's no
And
bombs
we
falling
walk,
here.
we
there's-
walk around after the slam, downtown, all over, to go down Iturbide and go have drinks. I mean,
And the architecture people go
it's
crazy.
safe.
Because so much of it's covered
really-
downtown, that they
yeah.
start seeing peaks.
Yeah.
They get a little,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
And I mean, actually, the gallery, if you just drive by there, you have no idea what that looks like. No idea. It doesn't, you can't, until you go inside, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because it's an old 1835, 1836 supposedly was built. But it's amazing. And I'm sure there's other gems like that, right?
Sure.
Like,
So if you need the language for a resolution to the city to to begin the master plan, bring that next time so that we can vote on it and let you guys get going on it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've written resolutions
Okay,
before,
well, so-
ordinances and all that.
And so that when you do that, you can just say, we've already run it by your arts commission,
Yeah.
Right,
and they support this,
yeah.
and
I
then.
mean, like, the way that I'm picturing it is like, let's say we all agree on the language and all that
Mhm.
stuff. I would wanna get as many people as possible at the city council,
Oh,
and
definitely.
prior to
Oh,
that,
yeah.
meet with all the council members
Right.
that we can, and talk to them, explain this whole
Mhm.
thing, and then when they see that there are 20, 30, 40 people standing up wanting this, and even if, like, let's say if they're not there, but we have the data, let's say we already
Mhm.
have, 60 members that believe in this,
Right.
or, we need, empowering people,
Exactly.
so,
It
And I
would
think
work.
we could even have one-on-one meetings with the council the council
Yes,
members
we would.
before.
yes.
So that
we need to-
they hear it personally,
Mhm.
not just all
Yes.
there in the meeting. Cause the meetings, you have so much time to,
See it, it's
Present
fresh,
and stuff.
and
You,
then
they have to already know what it is
Yes,
and
exactly.
understand
I
everything
totally agree.
before they vote, yeah.
So if you do that, that's the way to get it.
Yeah, we're with you.
going, yeah.
Awesome.
Unofficially.
unofficial.
Unofficially,
yeah.
Unofficially, that's what I'm saying, bring it next time.
Yeah.
Already
Take
written
it
out how you wanna
official.
present it to council.
And
Okay.
we'll make it, we'll make it official.
So can the next agenda item be that we're gonna review that, or does it?
Yes, it
Yeah,
can be
okay.
presentation for consideration and approval of
Yeah, yeah.
proposed,
Public art master.
public art, you know,
Well, master plan, I put
Master
called
plan.
RF,
RFP, and then you put in there the RFP and,
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that.
okay,
Because that's the only way to get started.
Yay.
okay,
Yeah.
And you also
It's
have a
us.
slab tonight.
Yeah.
Us and then,
City council.
city council.
okay.
They'll like this kind of stuff compared to all the other stuff.
And I think they, you know, I'm sure that the city council members really want their city to progress, but they don't have the time or the knowledge or, you know,
The
they're
knowledge.
working, they're working.
But it's
people.
us, like, we're the advocates, we need to know,
Exactly.
and that's the
And
how
they-
city
Exactly.
bakery
Right.
can help
Yeah.
also, like, cause it's, we may want stuff and we may complain.
No, I know.
But we have to actually
Well-
come up with a solution and say,
Yes.
approve this, otherwise.
And it's the flip side of the argument, well, if you want young people to come back,
Yes,
then when they go talk to you, and they've already talked to us, you better listen to them.
right,
Because if you want them to come back like they've come back,
Yeah.
it's
Give
because
them
they,
something to
they
come
see
back.
something here
exactly.
that they want the whole world to see.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so let's keep going. And a lot of us that have stayed here have seen it, you know, we've seen it too, we just can't put it into some of the words or that the artists can. You know, I'll tell you, that's what the politicians will say, but you know, why do you're a doctor, you can practice anywhere, if you're a lawyer, you can practice anywhere,
Yeah.
if you're a teacher, you can, you know, why are you here? Well, there's something cool about what I call the marble cake of language, the marble cake of culture, of that, you know, Mexico, America, Texas. You know.
Family,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people.
Laredo's definitely unique,
Yes, it is.
and if they, a lot of people maybe don't see that, but we do. Obviously, that's why we're here, so, but yeah.
There's something comforting about it, so.
And there's also the economic development aspect of public art and just
Exactly.
arts and culture in general. And so,
Mhm.
you know, that one of the priorities for them is to help the people who live, you know, under poverty in Laredo, which is a third of Laredoans. So, and the mayor speaks about that a lot. So this is kind of an economic development tool that's like, look, this is, we can empower the community through
Right.
art and, you know,
Right.
so we can also show some data and support on that stuff.
You know, I'm like her, I just think all the time, you know, but if you drive through like South Laredo, for example, there's guys that go and do all the jardinero in the north who actually have, what's the word? They've trimmed their bushes to look like dogs.
Topiaries,
Yeah.
topiaries.
Right, all, you know, it would be nice to have a competition where you would go
A
to
topiary.
to
See,
the
there's all
neighborhoods.
kinds of cool things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
absolutely.
well, that's art, and
But
it's
it's
a different
true.
art, but it's a different.
It's true, and the fact that they cut the arts education in Texas, gosh, I don't remember what year, drastically. And it reduced arts education for elementary school. And I'm talking music, art, whatever.
I think in 2007.
Yes, and they cut it, and it was like a disaster, because that meant every student who was being exposed to art from maybe, you know, the poorest neighborhoods, because they could have it in their school, were no longer being exposed to that. And if you don't get kids involved in art and music and stuff like that when they're very young, that their interest dies down, and then they don't even know they have a talent because they never had a chance to explore it. And I think that you just wiped out a whole, how many generations of artists and musicians and dancers and whatever, that, because they never were exposed to that. So what I've always thought with a gallery, when people come to me and say, can we do, they're actually going to teach art to disabled kids on Sunday in my gallery. Somebody asked me if they could do that, and I said, absolutely. She said, well, how much are you gonna charge? And I said, there's no charge. Come in and do that, because this is something that's so worthwhile, I don't care, you know. That's not what the gallery's about, I'm gonna charge you. No, it should be open to stuff like that. And I do art shows for students a lot. For the Border Region Mental Health Facility, their patients, they have an art program there now.
It's Julia's mom.
Yes,
Yeah, I know.
they do their shows in the gallery, and I don't charge them. It's completely free, open to the public, but they use the space and they get to show their work. So, you know, that's what we're here for. Exposure to the arts, to bring the arts into Laredo and make it more and more and more in every aspect of art.
And then for every category of art, and you know this, there's a Laredo one that's made it somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you were to bring them back during
Yeah.
that month for one event and
Oh,
invite
that would
kids, you know,
Yeah.
younger people and say, look, this is a guy that painted at Buenos Aires or, you know, went to San Agustin and started doing film.
Well, we had a fundraiser and we invited 11 artists who have made their name out in the world, and they all came back for this fundraiser and donated a piece that we auctioned off, and we gave that money for scholarships to the art students at TAMU and LCC.
So there's precedent for
raised-
that.
We raised $28,000, 14 from that event and 14 that was matched by Javier Santos.
But I
So-
think in every category, you
Yeah,
find people.
I
who
know,
make
and
their-
those people
There's so
are
much
like, oh
talent
my
in
God,
Laredo.
so appreciative that somebody remembers they're from Laredo and here, I mean, I swear to you, they all came. It was amazing.
And again, this is a perfect conduit for it because
Yeah.
you would already have a month of activities
Absolutely.
in that art form, and then somebody's coming in, you know.
Yeah.
Some of our poets are already
There's
national
musicians
poets,
that
so.
are in like super well known that people don't even know they're from Laredo.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me about some.
A filmmaker.
Oh, Alfonso.
That's what I was saying, San Agustin, yeah.
Alfonso who?
Gómez de Juan.
No, but he's a movie, I'm
Yeah.
talking about musicians.
No, she was talking about film, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay,
was
sorry.
asking-
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Quesada is one that's done very well.
Yeah,
There-
Adrian. But there's
Pancho
others.
Sanchez,
Yeah,
you know,
there's others that are really, like, really great, and they're playing with amazing groups, and nobody knows they're from Laredo, but we, see, like, with every.
The artists know, but
Yes,
the
but
community doesn't know.
every part of art or whatever, the people who are in there know. Oh my God, yes, this guy, he's, yeah. And you can always get those people to come home and do something or be a part of something that we are trying to develop.
Yeah.
Like the VMT, their faculty, they're all, their musical faculty, they're all renowned musicians, and they have like a jam where they
Oh,
all
yeah, they
come
have a
together.
jazz, don't they
And
have
it would
jazz?
really be, yeah, it's a jazz jam. Robert would be the one that would know
Yeah,
about
Robert
that.
Lopez
But
is a-
if you've ever gone, it's just, it's
Amazing.
amazing. These are all people who have put their careers in that area away to teach, but when they get a chance to perform, it's just really, really, really beautiful.
That'd be so
So
cool. Have like
we're-
jazz events.
Yeah, so we're there, I mean, just, you know,
Yeah.
we're there with you.
I forgot to mention, but we actually ended up coming to this meeting because I met Dr. Marta Villarreal
Okay.
a week ago or a couple
Uh-huh.
weeks ago. And I told her a little bit about what we were thinking, and so then she directed me to my
Yeah.
husband.
Yeah, well, she's working on something pretty awesome with
They're doing-
with Yo-Yo Ma.
Yes.
You
Oh,
tell me-
yeah, cause Yo-Yo must, yeah.
He wanted to come down here. So that made, I tell.
When is that
film people-
happening, do you know?
Huh?
The venue-
When is that happening?
Supposedly in March, I think.
Cause he's
or
gonna be in San Antonio.
He'll be in
and
San Antonio, and
He-
he's interested in coming down.
He was the one who said he wanted to come to Laredo.
Yeah, it's
It's
in
18th in April.
In April, okay.
Is there a venue already?
I think the venue's probably the VMT performing, it's gonna be small, because he wants to work with kids.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting in there would be tough, but I'm sure that getting film of it would be
Yeah.
great. To start selling it to
Yeah.
the council and people like that. There's a lot of people that come down here and just,
Nothing here, sorry, yeah.
yeah, so.
So we are at, anything else to discuss?
We can't, we have nothing to
Nothing.
discuss.
Well, this
We're
was
just-
great.
We're just having a great conversation.
Yeah.
You
Will you be coming back?
Yes, we'll come back.
Okay.
We would like to come next.
You were
For our
doing
next
classes at the
meeting,
Center
huh?
for the Arts, right?
It'll be in February.
You were
Okay.
doing classes at the Center for the Arts?
I was painting at the
Yeah,
Center
painting
for
there,
the
right?
Arts a
Yeah,
couple years
when
ago.
Gabriel was there.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, on the second floor.
So do you
And my
usually
studio.
have, oh, sorry, do you usually have meetings at the last week of the month?
The
or-
third, this is the third Thursday of the month?
Yeah, the third Thursday of the month.
Don't forget to go in.
It's one-
That's where in.
It's all real formal. Very formal. I had to like raise my hand.
Yes. So, that would be February 21st.
Okay.
We wait until then.
I actually won't be in Laredo, but I can.
Send somebody.
help prepare stuff.
If you want, like, if we can have that ready if you wanna put a PowerPoint or something
Okay.
together.
Or you can even, she can film you making your presentation.
Can we video conference or is that?
I don't know, can we video conference here?
I'm sure we can.
Figure it out.
Where are you gonna be?
In Las Vegas for a wedding.
Was it gonna be the day of the wedding? 'Cause,
No, it's not. Because the wedding is Saturday, so.
Oh, okay. Well, it was kind of cool that we didn't have a quorum because we really got to talk informally a lot.
I can't wait, no.
And I
it's
think
so
it was
good.
really
So
nice
good.
because we might not have had time, so much time just to
Yeah.
sit here and discuss. And
You know, and what I always, as a lawyer, what I always worry about when we start illuminating the arts is all of the things that we get away with on the border. Like none of the copyright stuff on piñatas. You know? They don't even know. I mean, in Laredo, you can take a mono and say, do a piñata for me, and there you go.
I know.
And